Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Randall and a whole bunch of other people sent me this story from UPI. Missouri woman found innocent of murder after 43 years in prison. Woman spent 43 years in prison, and now it's pretty much recognized that she didn't do it and she shouldn't have been in prison in the first place. So after serving 43 years in a Missouri prison for a murder she did not commit, a judge on Friday ruled that Sandra Hemme is innocent and must be freed. Livingston County, Missouri, Circuit Judge Ryan Horseman ruled that Hemme's legal team provided evidence affirming her innocence, and she must be released from prison within 30 days if prosecutors don't seek a retrial. We are grateful to the court for acknowledging the grave injustice she has endured for more than 4 decades, her legal team said. The Innocence Project and an attorney named Sean O'Brien challenged the decades-old conviction. Her legal team said her 43 years in prison is the longest a woman has served due to a wrongful conviction in the U.S. They'll continue seeking a dismissal of any charges against her while she reunites with her remaining family. She was convicted of the murder in 1980 of a woman who worked at a library, and she was found by her daughter in an apartment. Okay? So despite having no connection to the victim, Hemme, the woman here, signed confession statements, but she was a psychiatric patient at the time. Her attorney argued that the interviews occurred while she was heavily medicated and her confessions didn't match the crime. She also signed 4 different confessions. And you might say, Steve, 4 different confessions, doesn't that make it more likely that she really did it? Well, it makes you wonder why you'd get confessions 2, 3, and 4. Wasn't the first confession good enough? And did they all match? So her attorney says she signed those statements while under chemical restraints. The psychiatric drugs literally were designed to overpower her will. Now, physical evidence also points out that she probably didn't commit this crime either, because among other things, there was a police officer who died in 2015 in prison who likely committed the murder, according to people who've now examined this entire thing. For example, a pair of earrings belonging to the victim were found in that officer's apartment. How he got them? And don't say, oh, maybe he's a souvenir of the trial. It's not what you do if you're a police officer. You don't bring home souvenirs. So it turns out that that officer was investigated for burglaries and insurance fraud and was imprisoned when he died. Now, one thing I'm going to let you know, a couple things, is first of all, there's a chance the prosecution could decide to retry her. They could. They could try to retry her. But the other thing I have to point out is that if you get convicted of a crime, you're guaranteed one appeal. You're guaranteed one appeal in most states. And so you take your appeal and you file it. And you lose. Well, you can then seek to have that appealed, but there's more steps you got to take. But as you climb the ladder, okay, you get tried in a circuit court, then you go to an appellate court, then you go to your state Supreme Court. Let's suppose you lose all the way through. So then you go, okay, I'm going to go to the federal court system on a habeas corpus theory, which means that my argument is I'm being deprived of my constitutional rights because I've been wrongfully imprisoned because I didn't do this. And so you file the habeas corpus action in the federal court, and let's suppose you lose. You then go to the Federal Court of Appeals. Let's suppose you lose. You then go to the U.S. Supreme Court, and they could hear your case and rule on it, or they could decline to hear it, and then you're done. You're done. All your appeals are done. And there's time frames on all of this, by the way. So you've got to file your appeal, the one that you have of right, meaning that you automatically get that one appeal if you want it, within a certain time frame. Okay? And now the later appeals will have their own time frame issues. But generally speaking, the longer you go, the harder it becomes to overturn something on appeal. Now, it doesn't look like they went much beyond the circuit court in this case at this time. I don't know if she had previous appeals back 42, 41 years ago. I don't know. But the one thing they point out here is that the court did say that they found her innocent. And you might say, but Steve, I thought courts just found people either guilty or not guilty. No, juries are asked guilty or not guilty. But actual innocence is a standard that you can raise, and it's usually raised after you've used all of your other arguments and lost. And one of the things that the courts want to do is they don't want people just tying up the courts with appeals. As you can imagine, if you got sentenced to life in prison and you had nothing better to do and appeals were unlimited, you just start filing appeals upon appeals upon appeals. And eventually the courts are going to go, dude, stop it. Okay, you've lost 37 appeals, so you can't file 37 appeals. And we've heard of cases before where somebody came upon something extremely useful, but they'd already exhausted all of their appeals. And it's like, can they now bring this up and say, well, it's newly discovered evidence. It'd be unfair not to let me bring this up. And that's going to depend on the state and what it is and how long it's been and all kinds of other stuff. But I'm pointing out the fact that actual innocence is one of those arguments of last resort where if it turns out that you can prove you're innocent, not that you're not guilty, but that you're innocent. And you might go, Steve, what's the difference? Well, if I can prove that the conviction shouldn't have happened because of a technicality, that would make me not guilty, right? If I can get a court to buy that. However, if I can prove I'm innocent, obviously I shouldn't have been found guilty. Not technicality, I'm innocent. And so there have been some cases before I've seen where somebody's run out of all their appeals, and then something comes up that they can go, that proves it right there. That proves it. And the best example I can give you is, let's suppose that there was a murder case years and years and years ago, and somebody went to prison on some shaky eyewitness testimony, maybe a jailhouse snitch. Person's rotting away in jail, and they are calling out to everybody. Finally, Innocence Project or somebody like that steps in and reviews the file. And they make a find. They go, wait, in the file, it says here that they've got the clothes that came off the victim in storage. And they've got blood stains on them. And nowadays, with modern technology, we can do more than they could do, say, 43 years ago, for example. And so they test the blood stains after getting permission from the court to do so. And the blood stains belong to somebody else. And it turns out that according to everything people believe, the stains on the clothing were there because there was a vicious fight between the victim and the perpetrator. And so they expected to find the blood of both people on those clothes. So they found the victim's blood and they found the perpetrator's blood. And they run that blood through, and it turns out, boom, it pops up to a known person who is in jail right now for murder that occurred a few months after this one did. So detectives go and talk to that person and go, hey, we're kind of curious about something. Your blood turned up in another case. Person puts her head down and goes, I was wondering when you were going to show up. And without any other prompting, describes that first murder. Says, yep, that was me. I killed that woman, killed that guy, whatever it was. Got away with it, and then I did the one I'm in prison here for now. Now, most people, upon hearing those facts and hearing about that evidence, would go, oh, that first person's innocent. Unless there's some connection. So then they ask the guy who's in prison, by the way, did you do this by yourself? Do you have an accomplice? No, I did it by myself. Why? And he's got some reason. Says, I did it because of this, that, and the other thing. I knew this person, though. Most people would say at that point, okay, especially if this guy will testify to it under oath, because he might get charged with that also, and they could start stacking, sentences up on him. But the point is that if you can prove you're actually innocent, it's usually one of the last things you can do with respect to arguments you can make. Because on appeal, most people are arguing things like technicalities, how the court handled the trial, witness tampering, jury misconduct, things like that, ineffective counsel. But actual innocence is extremely hard to prove. But when you can prove it, well, it seems like that is a situation where a court's got to go, we know it's been a long time. We know you've used a lot of your appeals, but this is the one where we got to let somebody go. So It's a good result, but it's 43 years late. Randall and everybody else, thanks for sending it. From UPI, Missouri woman found innocent of murder after 43 years in prison. And again, I emphasize, being found innocent is different and better than simply being found not guilty. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. There was no need to do any housework at all. After the first 4 years, the dirt doesn't get any worse.